Welcome to Ficheall.ie, and today we're going to look at Scholar's Mate. Scholar's Mate is one of the most well-known checkmates in chess, and it ends a game after just 4 moves. Scholar's Mate is extremely common amongst beginners, so it is important to know how to deliver it and prevent it. To win a game using Scholar's Mate, it involves a double attack on the f7 pawn using the queen and the bishop. This will take 4 moves in total. First, you advance the pawn in front of the king to allow room for your queen and bishop to develop. Then you move out your bishop to attack the f7 pawn. Then you advance your queen to attack the f7 pawn. And finally, you capture the f7 pawn with your queen, giving the king nowhere to go, and it's checkmate. The king cannot capture the white queen because of the bishop. Black has no pieces to protect the king or block the attack, and the king has no safe squares to move into. Here we'll take a look at Scholar's Mate again, but this time black will achieve a Scholar's Mate. Again, it takes 4 moves. First, you advance the pawn in front of the king to allow space for the queen and the bishop to develop. Next, you move the bishop out to attack the pawn. The third move is to advance the queen, so it's a double attack on the pawn. And finally, the queen captures the pawn, resulting in a checkmate for black. So how can you defend against a Scholar's Mate? With beginners, and you see that your opponent brings out their queen and their bishop at the beginning of the game, you must ask yourself, is my opponent trying to achieve a Scholar's Mate? And if they are, you must try and stop it or defend against it. In this example, white has their queen and bishop out. They are launching a double attack on the f7 pawn, and they are 1 move away from a Scholar's Mate, so black must defend against it. There are a number of ways in which black can defend against this Scholar's Mate. The most straightforward way to defend against a Scholar's Mate is by protecting the f7 pawn. Black can do this by moving their knight to h6. Another option might be to move the g7 pawn to attack the queen. Or black can move their queen to either in front of the king or in front of the f7 pawn to protect it. All of these moves will protect the f7 pawn and help you to defend against a Scholar's Mate. The final thing to be made aware of is that a 4-move checkmate can also be achieved by moving your queen to the f3 square. In this situation, the f7 pawn is again under a double attack from the queen and the bishop. So if your opponent has the queen and the bishop out, you must ask yourself, is my opponent trying to achieve a checkmate in 4 moves or trying to achieve a Scholar's Mate? Again, you can defend against this by moving your knight or queen to protect the f7 pawn. I hope you've enjoyed our video. Check it out on your chessboard.